Hi, Teresha. I'm so excited that you're here today on Fizz and Tell. This is a very exciting moment and pivotal because we're going to be talking about all things to do with femininity and the importance of feminine energy. So,
Yes,
Teresha, would you love to introduce yourself?
I will do. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have a gorgeous conversation with you, Genevieve. I'm so looking forward to it. So, for those of you who don't know who I am Teresha Young, and I am an international relationship master coach. And I primarily help single and coupled up women to confidently achieve their love, relationships, and presence aspirations, fostering a sense of security, alignment, fulfillment, and also empowerment, which is my SAFE approach, is an acronym. And for nearly 2 decades now, and I feel very old saying that, but for nearly 2 decades now, I've been coaching, mentoring, guiding, and supporting individuals, showing thousands of women how to find a deeper understanding of themselves in order to set themselves up for dating, relationship, and also confident success.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's brilliant because we share this space. And
Yes.
obviously I do the same thing, but I work with men as well as with women. And the biggest complaint I get from men
Mm.
is women trying to compete with them.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of men saying, I just want a feminine woman, a woman that knows how to be a woman and isn't trying to compete with me.
Ah,
And this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on because this, I think, is your superpower in helping women tap into that femininity. And I think it's one of those things that's very under overlooked, even when you're in a relationship. And
yes.
it's something that we run around as women 300 miles an hour with
Mm,
work, with children, with life, full stop. And then all of a sudden we think, well, what about us? And
mm,
there's this whole sort of equal opportunities and women having to stand up for themselves so much more now than we've
mm,
ever had to. And we're also the first real generation, well, our sort of the 45 plus is
yeah.
the first real generation of women who are in this space of work, motherhood, aging parents to look after.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's those three things that we're in that space of we're wearing three, sometimes four hats, sometimes five hats at times. So we're asking a lot of women
Yes.
actually, and to remind them that they've got to step into this feminine power when all they want to do is go, fuck it.
Absolutely. And that can be very scary in itself because there's so much misconceptions around what feminine energy is and what feminine power might look like. Women
Mm,
will say, does that mean I'm going to be a doormat, submissive, or martyr? I'm going to lose my power or my sense of autonomy. That's exactly not what feminine energy is about or your feminine essence. In
yeah.
actual fact, it is such an empowering, very moving energy, very, oh, it's delightful when you can tap into it. It really is. And I can understand there's been a lot of cultural and societal conditioning and programming that has
Mm.
led us to lose touch with our feminine energy. Now, for those who actually might not understand what feminine energy is and what on earth we're talking about
Yeah.
here,
What are these women talking about?
what
Hello?
are we talking about here? Feminine energy, what does that mean? Masculine energy, which I will try to shed some light on. So basically, let's take it back to basic physics. Everything is energy. We are energy, we're all made up of energy. So a bit like yin and yang, it is said that within our bodies, we have feminine energy and we have masculine energy within our bodies. And that's fact, we need both in order to bring about a sense of wholeness and connection. And it's finding a way to dance with both of those energies. Now,
Mm,
for all of those reasons, Genevieve, that you stated before, in terms of work, being a mother, maybe Asian parents, we can very much get into the masculine energy. Now, that energy is the doing, doing, doing energy, whereby we are very logical thinking. We are very future orientated with our goals, strategy, vision, all of that stuff. But we absolutely need those
we
components.
need it to get on with things.
But
Otherwise, we'd
of
sit around
course,
dancing like fairies all day.
exactly. And then just wishful thinking and hoping that things are just going to land on our table, but it's not going to go that way. So, yes, we do need that masculine energy. Also, it's the feminine energy where we can sit back and allow ourselves to receive. So, the masculine energy is the provider energy, whereas the receptive feminine energy allows you to take your hands off the control. Yes, take your hands off the control.
You said it. You said the control word.
And it's at the control. Because we're going to navigate it rather than control. We're just going to navigate the energy. So take the hands off the control and allow yourself to receive. Now, that can feel really challenging. It can, because that just means basically the feminine energy, the feminine essence is a creative energy. It's allowing yourself to be in flow, to breathe, to tap into your intuition, to have that element of empathy, compassion, kindness, slowness, pacing, not racing.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just allowing yourself to step back and to say, I can do both, but we can lose the equilibrium, I suppose, between the masculine and the feminine energy.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was working with a client the other day about stepping into her feminine energy.
Mm,
Totally, because everything, she just terrifies men off, and so many powerful women in powerful jobs
yeah.
tend to scare men completely because they feel that
Mm,
they're competing with them.
yes.
And, I've got her into the most beautiful relationship now. And the work that we're doing is for her to allow him to be the male energy, not compete with him, but also to soften, to learn how to soften and receive. It's being in receptive mode, isn't it? And I remember I've had a few clients recently who've rung me up, and when I've taught them a couple of things, they said to me, it's really weird receiving. I'm so used to giving. It actually feels quite nice.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. It's a give and
It's
take when it
hilarious,
comes.
isn't it? Once you
It,
once you've sort of dipped your toe into it, it's a bit like you see the sea and you think, oh, it's going to be freezing. I don't want to jump in. But the
mm,
minute you're in there, everything warms up. And
it
it's
does.
very similar feeling that once you're in it, it's not as scary as it looks.
No. And that's the thing, it's that gradual step into it,
Yeah.
into the unknown. So it's not going in all guns blazing into it, because this might be completely out of your comfort zone. So
Mm,
again, there's various different things like what you're working with your client with that can encourage you and just to gently ease you into
yeah.
that receptive mode. And sometimes we can be very quick when we receive a compliment to say something back. Oh, this old top. Oh,
Yes.
I've had it for years. You know, oh, my little Primani thing I got going on. Like we can actually just deflect the compliment rather than just receive
Yes.
it, because we have to remember how it affects the person who is giving that compliment to you or giving you the help
Absolutely.
or assistance. It makes them feel good. So
Yeah.
rather than put the barrier up, take the compliment. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm teaching people to bottle the compliments,
Yes.
because it's not just any good taking the compliment, but bottle it, because actually we can feed off of these wonderful compliments. They make
Yes.
us feel good. They make us feel that's soul food. I always say compliments are soul food.
Oh yes. How nourishing is that
I
when you
know.
describe it like that? It's so nourishing
I
because
know. So why would you want to dismiss it? Why would you want to say, "Oh, this old thing," or "This is not what you
yeah,
think it is"? What? Why?
yeah,
Why not accept it?
yeah. And I think it absolutely boils down to our limiting beliefs and our conception of
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we have that limited belief that I'm not good enough, whenever you receive a compliment, that's not going to resonate with you, because
Mm.
in the back of your mind, if you've got low self esteem, you're going to be thinking, yeah, nice saying that, but that actually doesn't feel very true to me. So,
Yeah.
again, it's bottling up, as you say, the compliments and actually feeding into it. And I think it's so important to be in our feminine energy, to start labeling our emotions. So, when
Mm.
we receive that compliment, how does it make you feel? Now, really sit in that moment with that compliment. You might not do it on the spot, but choose some time during the day to really tap into that compliment.
Yeah.
And then, how do you feel? And also, the feminine energy, it says that the body is the home of the feminine energy.
Yeah.
So, when we are feeling that emotion, where do we feel it in our body? Where's the sensation? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your solar plexus area? Maybe your sacral chakra into your chakra points. Where do you actually feel that? And then use that as your power. See how often you can connect to those sensations in your body as well. And just really absorb it, nourish it, nourish those moments. Natural fact, I know somebody who calls them meditation supplements. So often when it comes to being in feminine energy, you can think very much learning how to have a meditation practice, for example, can really help
Mhm.
you just to be present with yourself and to discover more about who you are and your intuition, so to speak. But often we think, I don't have 5, 10, 15 minutes a day to sit down and meditate. It's just too much. Like, how can I fit that into my already cram-packed day? So we can have meditation supplements whereby we just savor the moments. So, for
Mm.
example, I'm not sure if this will come up on camera, but I've got a glass here. So when I'm holding the glass, how does that feel in my hand? When I'm
Yeah.
drinking the water, well, how does that feel in my mouth? How does it taste?
Yeah.
It really being present. And I think that's really what it is with feminine energy is presence. Masculine energy is future orientated, vision, goal, strategy. Feminine energy is being and presence.
It's so true. It's so true. And sometimes people say to me, but I lose my power as a woman if I step into my feminine energy. And I always say to them, so do you think Marilyn Monroe, Sophia Loren, Audrey Hepburn, all of the most iconic, beautiful women of their time. And if we look at our time, people like Michelle Obama,
Yes,
um, there are such powerful women
yes,
who don't have to say very much, but their energy is just so graceful and so you know exactly that they mean business. You wouldn't want to mess with them.
yes,
But at the same
absolutely.
time, they exude femininity, charisma, charm, everything else. So I actually, when I've worked with women, I said to them, actually being in your feminine energy is your most powerful,
Oh, yes.
empowering energy.
Yes, yes. And it's so attractive. As you said before, the masculine energy is a competitive energy. So if you are in a male woman dynamic as well, then men can find that quite challenging,
Mm.
actually, to be with
And it's
another woman.
draining.
And
They all
it's
say to me
draining.
it's draining. They
It's
don't want to
draining.
compete. They want to find a woman attractive. They want to protect her. They want to be the man in that
Yes.
relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is why when it comes to my coaching practice, I find it so important because because I have worked with men too, and not to say that predominantly I work with women, but I've also worked with men. And the themes that I find from that is that they say that they just want to feel respected, they want to feel appreciated, and they want peace. Whatever peace might mean for them. But those are kind of the themes. And I can understand that why we would go into our masculine energies because in society, the tangible achievements such as being valued, being respected, being appreciated, being accomplished, they tend to have more merit behind it. Your accomplishments tend to have more merit, the tangible things. Whereas the feminine energy is quite intangible because it's just being in flow. So again, it's like taking that step back and allowing yourself not to compete and to receive. And I think gratitude is such a massive practice, Genevieve, when it
Oh,
comes to that.
it is gratitude and humbleness. And it was interesting. Years ago, I worked with the Body Shop and I had the fortunate pleasure, and she became my hero. I mean, I'm going back 30 years of working with Anita Roddick. And she was probably the biggest inspirational leader I could ever have had the pleasure of being
Mm,
in the presence of, because she was so humble. She was so feminine, but so incredible. Everything that she did was pioneering, was visionary, was life-changing for millions and millions, not just a few hundred people, millions of people. Yet she was the most energetic, feminine, soulful woman I've probably ever had the pleasure of hearing speak.
yeah, yeah.
And and I remember at the time, and I worked with lots of big companies when I was coaching in corporate and when I did recruitment. And one of the things that I found incredible was learning from some of these women. It was interesting because the most powerful women in business that I've ever met
Mhm.
in 35 years of walking this planet as an adult
Yeah.
um have had incredible feminine energy.
Yes.
The
Yes.
ones that I didn't really like, that turned me off
Mm,
and I didn't want to really listen to anything, had a very strong competitive masculine energy.
yes.
So it's
Yes.
interesting that as women, yes, the men all sort of bow down to the masculine woman, but actually the women resonated and learnt more from the women who could step in and could show up
Yeah.
in their feminine energy. And it wasn't about being vulnerable. And I
Mm,
learned this. It's actually a strength to
yes.
hold on to that and
Mm,
be present and authentic with who you are rather than trying to be something that you're not. So I
absolutely.
think that to me blew my mind many, many
Yeah.
years ago.
And when you're speaking to Genevieve, the word sisterhood is coming to me as well. I
Mm.
think it's such an important thing to have a community
Yeah.
where we
Couldn't
can
agree
feel
more.
safe and
Mm,
we can with other women, no,
yeah.
where we can have that community, that sisterhood, where we can share and we can be in our feminine energy. It's a chance for us to just commune and to just be and to witness each other and to celebrate each other's successes, such as, banking up those compliments, and we can share that with other people and know what compliments did you get this week, what compliments did you get today, whatever that sisterhood might look like. And it's
Yeah.
a really great place for us to witness each other and support each other, because the oxytocin levels that will just amplify and increase by being with other women, that bonding that comes, it's just amazing when you have that. And then naturally, that's going to lower your cortisol levels and your stress levels. So that sense of community with other women is so empowering.
It's huge, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's always important to have your tribe.
Mhm.
You know, I always
Yeah.
say to people, who are your tribe? Now that tribe will change as you get older, as
Yeah.
other people's lives, other influences will come in, and that will change who they are, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. I always say people come into your life for a reason, season, lifetime, or a lesson.
Absolutely.
And it could be
Absolutely.
a combination of all of those things,
Mm.
whether
Yeah.
it's friendships, whether it's partnerships, whether it's, a lover,
Mm.
whatever's coming into your life. It could even be a job. You might just
Yeah.
be in that job for a matter of months or many years. You
Yeah.
you learn so much. And I always say to people, don't look at what you've lost, look at what you gained from the experience.
Absolutely. And that's such a fair point that you're saying there, because what I'm also hearing is that this could require us to have a slightly shift in our identity, who we know ourselves to be.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of work. And I'm sure
Mm.
you do this with your clients too, Genevieve, to unpack the sense of self. And what does that mean? Who do I have to be? Who do I have to become to embrace feminine energy? What does that even look like?
Yeah.
Again, what am I losing? Because a lot of people will hold on to stay in the same place because of that fear of losing something. So, what rather than that, what am I trying to avoid? Approach, it's kind of like, what am I moving towards? What am I gaining? So
Mm.
that's a lot of self-exploration work to do, which I also do with my clients to really feel comfortable in their feminine energy and what that means for them, because it's a beautiful alteration to the identity that is so empowering. And we witness it when we look at other people, like all of the names you mentioned before, and we say they own it, they own their place at the table, they're
Totally.
owning it. But equally, there's something very alluring and very feminine about them too. It's a really beautiful um place to find that balance.
And it is a dance, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
dance, it's an energetic dance. As you said
Yes.
earlier, we are all about energy and we are totally all about energy. And it's sometimes you can walk into a room and you can feel someone's energy and everyone's drawn to that
Yeah.
energy. And there are other times you walk somewhere and you think, I can feel something very dark and heavy. And my
Yeah.
stomach feels sick and I just want to run away and escape from what I'm feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And
About
it's not,
trusting all of that. It
yeah.
really is about trusting it and stepping into that. So
Yeah, trusting it. And that also starts with trusting ourselves, isn't it? It's trusting ourselves and our ability to be able to navigate change. Because what we're talking about here is change as well. And that can be scary in itself.
it's terrifying for most
Yes,
of us.
yes.
But you know what? If you don't change, you don't grow. You don't experience new things in life.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my daughter yesterday. It was her 25th birthday.
Oh,
And of
happy
course,
birthday.
she got that quarter of a century lecture from mummy.
Yes. Yeah.
Now you're a different level of grown up
Yeah.
now. So it's all about celebrating who you've been, but who
Yes.
you want to be.
Yes. Yes.
And I think sometimes there are these milestones where it's a really good period of reflection of who do you want to be? And
Yeah.
what do you want? What on the list do you want to ditch? Ditch your list. You know, so
Yes.
it's an opportunity to, I think sometimes when things happen in life, it's an opportunity to, and milestone birthdays, it's an opportunity to sort of look at your list and say, right, what's on my list? Who am I? It's almost like an MOT time. Take
Yes.
stock. And I always say to women, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s,
Mm.
we go into these different phases of life. So
Yes.
what served us for the last 10 years isn't going to serve us anymore. Just like our
Mm.
clothes aren't going to fit us anymore, just like
Yeah.
our food tastes and where we want to travel to and the work we want to do, everything changes. And
Yes. It does.
that's okay. It's totally okay.
It is totally okay. And I liken it to the elastic band, for example. So again, you slightly stretch it, It's nice and loose. No, that's your comfort zone, nice and loose. Then you stretch it a little bit, but then you bounce back to your comfort zone. And then you stretch yourself a little bit, then you bounce back to your comfort zone. Because if you keep putting that rubber band, it's going to snap.
Yeah.
So it's really important that when we are doing something new and navigating that change, whether it's season, lifetime, reason, and also lesson, it's a case of just making sure that we just go back to our comfort zone at the same time. And so that's our norm, because a lot of the reasons why we can get that fight, flight, or freeze feeling within us is because it's outside of our comfort zone, it's outside of our safety.
Yeah.
And that's one key thing when I'm working with my clients, people, is helping them to feel safe. And when it comes to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the bottom rungs of that pyramid is the physiological needs, like the basic necessities that you have. But then you have that safety need. So we have to feel safe with that change as much as possible. It might feel uncomfortable, but let's do it in a safe way.
Yeah. But you need your foundation. You do need
Yes.
your foundation there. And I think, when you go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's all about that foundation setting,
Yes.
isn't it? Once you know who you are, so many people come to me when they're broken,
Yeah.
when relationships are broken
Yeah.
down, they don't know who they are. I remember when my marriage broke up, I've described it as if 30 years of my life, which was in this neat little box in all
Mm,
its compartments, someone had literally gone and
mm,
handed me back an
yeah.
empty box and said, right, time to start again, which is terrifying for a lot of people. It was terrifying for me. And I'm a relationship coach and
Yeah.
expert
Yeah.
and have been doing this for goodness knows how many years. And so when it happened to me, I kind of put myself in my client's shoes and
Yes.
realized that that whole fear of being handed back this box is terrifying. But actually, it was also a chance to
Mm,
sort through what was useful
yes.
and what wasn't. And
Yes.
throughout our life, I think it's a healthy thing for us to do it to ourselves, is to go,
Yeah.
right, let's look at this box of tricks
Yes.
and work out what do I need and what do I need to sort of get rid of and what do I need to reinvest in and put in.
Mm,
Midlife for women, women in their in 40s, 50s, 60s, there's that whole hormonal shift
of
which
course.
kicks us up the arse.
Yes. Yes.
Whether you like it or not, we're going to shift everything.
Hmm.
We're
Yeah.
going to shift it in different directions that
Yeah.
you don't feel that comfortable with,
Yeah.
lady.
Exactly. And you're definitely not going to have control.
No control. You think you had
Look,
control?
reality check.
Anything that you knew about control, we go through
Yeah.
menopause, forget that one.
Yeah. Gone. Yeah.
So I think it is one of those things that it doesn't matter whether it's a relationship, whether it's your children. I'm going into empty nesting season right now. My youngest is about to move out, and it's one of those things where all of a sudden, well, who am I? What's my identity? What's my purpose?
Oh, 100%, exactly. Because the person who I thought I was is about to change. And like we said, that can be scary. And
But
this
now
is,
I love it. Now, you know what? Nothing could have broken me more than the very first time that happened to me.
yeah.
And so now I almost enforce that with
Mm,
me. No, because every little thing that happens and major big things that
yeah.
happen as well, it's how you address them, how you embrace them. Life, the one thing about life is it's going to be change is a constant. Let's
Yeah.
face it, change
Yeah.
is a constant. But I think stepping into who you are and taking those moments of thinking, right, okay, it's like a snake skin, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think you and I spoke about this last time. Let's just shed
Yes.
the
It
snake
is
skin
a
and get into a new
shedding.
one.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a metamorphosis, isn't it, of who you are, which is so beautiful. And I think, like what you're saying there, the decluttering, that what doesn't serve me anymore is so important because that allows us as feminine women to tap into our feminine energy, to tap into our intuition.
Yeah.
And some people are like, well, what on earth is intuition? And it's knowing what you know without knowing why you know it.
Yeah.
It's just like it doesn't make sense. I just feel it. It just feel it. But
It's back to energy, Teresha. It's back to
it is.
energy, isn't
It's
it?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just feeding into it and trusting that intuition. And sometimes, like for me, for example, I get signs.
Yeah.
It's like a message from three different people, through the course of a week or over the coming days. Like I would hear that same word three times, and I think, okay, universe, you're
I'm
talking to me
listening.
now. I'm listening now. I don't want a massive tower moment. No, I don't want that empty box being given to me. Like, so I also think that it's important, as you were saying about change, because it is inevitable, that we find ways to be able to incorporate elements of change into our daily living, into our habits as well, because it's great for the neurons to find new neurons as well. So I know some people might, for example, change their walking route just because it's change. It puts us into the unfamiliar. Then you go back to your normal walking route. It's again like that elastic band analogy that I was using. But a lot of the feminine energy is about, and I must emphasize this, it's about self-care.
Yes.
I have to say, and I know some people might think there's a misconception that self-care is selfish and it's egotistical and self-centered. And yes, and I completely believe it can be things like having a nice massage, pampering yourself. Absolutely, that's an element of self-care. Equally, is allowing yourself just to have that time for you, that me time, to be quiet, to be still, to focus on the power of your breath, to connect with the breath. They said that the breath is the glue and the bridge between the mind and the body. So to be able to tap into those things and to slow down and
Mm.
just really feel into who am I without all of the hats, without all of the labels. Who am I? And do I trust myself? No, ask some really deep questions. No, what do I need? One of the things I do ask myself in the morning when I wake up is, what do I want to experience today?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What do
That's
I
one of
want to
my first questions. What is today going to bring?
Yeah, exactly. And it's great to know, what is they going to bring? What do I want to know? How do I want to feel today? And just really ask yourself, because then again, the mind will focus on the intention. The mind's great at doing that. What you think about, you bring about. So it's a case
Yeah.
of really focusing on it and tap into that and really find ways to fulfill that need, because we all have needs, and it's not neediness. We all have basic needs as well, and we don't have to be apologetic about those needs. It's just understanding what they are and how we can nourish those needs too.
And I think it's really important when we look at that as women, we're such givers, aren't we? And sometimes I speak to women and say, "Well, I get my kick out of making sure my kids eat, my parents are well looked after, and this happens and that happens, and my partner's taken care of." And I'm working at the moment with some groups of women who haven't dated for 20 plus years
Mm.
because they said, no, I don't want to date because I want to put my kids first. And there's quite a big group of those women I'm working with at the moment, and they've got no idea how to put themselves first in that
Yeah,
space
yeah.
because they've lived their lives completely for their families,
Mm.
completely. And it's terrifying. Sometimes you get to this stage where you think, oh, okay, now I have to think about me. Now it's all about me. What does that even look like? How do I even tap into that? Well, the first thing I always say to people is really understand who you are today,
Yes.
but who you want to be moving forwards, because
Oh,
it is this sort of, it's a three-step process: who I am, who I want to be, and what does transition look like, and I want to enjoy the transition.
of course, exactly. Enjoy the journey, not just the destination.
Mm,
It's about enjoying it. And when you start to connect with your values as well, find out, what do you value? And just really tap into that the goals, the values, what do you stand for? What are you all about? It will take time. This is not an overnight process, because you can have like years of being the mum taking care of your child, or whatever caring role you have. And it's all very noble, and we appreciate that so much, which is why doing things in small chunks, chunk it down,
yeah.
have that 5-10 minutes of me time a day, then maybe expand it to 20 minutes today, then one day a week, maybe. Just,
Wow, hang on a minute.
oh, I know. We're
Steady,
talking about
Teresha, steady. One day a year just to go out
one day a
the
year,
store I'll take right now.
maybe once a quarter. Maybe that's a bit more palatable.
Yeah.
But yes, whatever that looks like, but take the
No, I
baby
agree. I agree.
first.
Even if it's just
It's like,
having a day with friends, or a pajama day.
yeah, make it a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. Put it in your diary. If you have to put it in your calendar, put it in your calendar, schedule it out. But it's really important that you do prioritize self-care, because as I work with people, you can own the quality of your life and your relationships depends upon the quality of the relationship with yourself. So
Mhm.
it's really important that you do nourish yourself, you treat yourself well, with the same compassion that you show your children, that you show your friends, that you show your family. Give that same love to yourself, and it's okay to receive.
It's wonderful to receive. And I always say, receive, bottle it, but accept it and say thank you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't say thank you, if I just said to you, oh, Teresha, your hair
Mhm.
looks great. It must have taken you ages to do it this morning. And you just said, oh, no, I just woke up and it looked like this.
Oh yeah.
I'd be feeling, really?
Yeah. How do I do that? No, no. Yeah,
But if you said
absolutely.
thank you and responded in a nice way, I think, oh, she feels good that I've paid her a compliment, which in turn makes me feel good for giving you the compliment.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we act without expectation
Circle,
to
isn't it?
receive, but it's a circle because that's just how energy works. We raise the vibration in ourselves. Somebody else has got their vibes raised, your vibes raised, and that's how we connect. As a power of connection as well. So this is why, as much as possible, if we can connect with our feminine energy, not disregarding the masculine energy, as we said, we need that
It
dance
has
between
its
the two.
place. It
It has
has
its
its
place. It's
place.
got its rhythm. It's got its flow, but equally finding that things, there can be so many little things that you can do, even if you are at work or in an office environment. Have some flowers around you, put some lovely smelling hand lotion on. Now have a fluffy pen or something that's just really sensory to your senses as well. Make that as beautiful and
Mm,
learn to breathe. Just breathe, slow things down.
mm. My favorite thing at the moment that I'm teaching everybody is my three-step process, which is stop,
Mhm.
think, breathe. I
Ah,
mean, I have these on sticky notes everywhere.
mhm.
Stop, think, breathe. She's
Yeah.
saying, where are they? Where are all my sticky? Oh, here we go. There's another one. And the other one I add in is gratitude. So I've got stop, think, breathe,
Oh yes, there we
gratitude.
go.
This is my new one, is gratitude in there as well. But I think if you stop, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if everything, and we always have, you, you can't go through life without feeling overwhelmed at some point. So when you are feeling overwhelmed or if things are particularly challenging, stop, take a moment, think, can I do something about it? Yes, I can. What am I going to do about it?
Yes.
What,
Yes.
if I can't do something about it, let it go. It's
Mhm.
not worth taking up that space. And then breathe, just breathe it out. And if it's something that's particularly heavy, then think about something you're grateful for so that you can shift the focus, shift the energy, and move on to something else. Now, I do this barefoot. I live barefoot most of the time. So I'm constantly barefoot. So I say to, I had a client last week who said to me, oh, I've taken a leaf out of your book. And I said, what's that? She said, oh, when things got overwhelming, I went outside, took my shoes and socks off in the office, went
Yes.
onto the grass and did
Yes.
stop, think, breathe, gratitude before I went back
Mm.
in. And it stopped me from getting into arguments with people. I said,
It's
fantastic.
oh my goodness, exactly. So it's having those ideas and having those go-tos in our toolkit, which is so important. It's grounding, walking barefoot in nature is also such a lovely way to ground yourself, to be in that present moment. And sometimes it might even be physically holding on to something just so that we can squeeze it. I know stress balls are fantastic, but at the same time, how can we ground ourselves in that presence and just allowing ourselves to be as well? And that's when, and the gratitude, such a powerful antidote to the stress, the worry, the challenges that we may feel. Just being grateful. I mean, I always say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I like to affirm it in the present tense. When you say it as if it's already happened, then again, it's sending a message out to the universe that it is yours and you own that. You own that wish and that desire.
Absolutely. Teresha, we could talk all day.
We could. We
That's
absolutely could.
the
Part two.
wonderful thing. That's the wonderful thing about my guests is we could keep talking and talking and talking.
Yes. Yes.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much. And you've got your details there if people want to get hold of you. It's tereshayoung.com.
Absolutely. Yes, you can find me on social media as Teresha Young, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Teresha Young, YouTube, Teresha Young. I'm omnipresent. I'm omnipresent. So, and I just want to thank everybody for listening, and I hope that you had some insights. Also, for the wonderful conversation, Genevieve. I really enjoyed this conversation about feminine essence and feminine
Yeah.
energy.
It's so important. Guys, if you want to learn more, just like and subscribe to the channel. Going to have some more speakers coming up. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these Fizz and Tells. Sorry, I've been out of action for a little while, but we're back with a vengeance with some great people lined up, like the wonderful Teresha. I'm sure we'll be speaking to again. Thank you
Yeah.
for now, everybody.
So
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.